We have a cost of living crisis, and electricity is very expensive at the moment. And I have a direct debit. So my electricity bill comes, my money goes out of my account. Now, if you're living in poverty, you can't do that because you have to have prepay electricity. So you buy a card. How it works here, I don't know if you have that in the States, but you buy a prepaid card and you stick it in and you have like $20 worth of electricity for the week. So per unit, that electricity is about twice as expensive as somebody who's able to have a direct debit. Mm-hmm. So when you're poor, everything is more expensive. If I want to go out and buy a pair of shoes today for my kids, and I go out and I can buy a pair of shoes that are 40 euros. So that would be a good quality pair of shoes. They will last them, until they grow out of them. If I don't have 40 euros for a pair of shoes for the kids, and I only have to go into, a cheaper store where you're going to spend 10 euros on a pair of shoes, those shoes will last 6 to 8 weeks. And then I'll have to buy another pair. So from the minute you get up in the morning until the minute you go to bed at night, you never have any money left over, because being poor is more expensive than having money. And the other thing about social capital is that, for example, because I work in a university, sometimes if I go to a coffee shop with my children and I meet somebody who I've, met through work or something, they'll say, "Oh my goodness, it's so nice to see you." And they'll give my kids a free hot chocolate. Mm-hmm. So the woman who's cleaning my office, who's on minimum wage, will go into the same coffee shop, but her kids won't get a free hot chocolate. But the woman who can afford to pay for the hot chocolates gets them for free. Oh. So it's little things like that happen on a daily basis that means that when you have money, it's easier to get money and it's easier to get things for free. When you have no money, it's impossible to get money. If you do borrow money, it's from, very dubious places that end up charging you huge amounts of money. You can never get ahead then. So to tell somebody to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, they ain't got no bootstraps. They haven't got them, and you need to give them to them so that they can then pull up their bootstraps. There seems to be this thing in the States, about being self-made and there are very few people who are self-made. It's largely a myth. And often the people who are held up as, you could be this guy. No, you can't, because that guy's dad owned, an oil company or something. So what's really interesting then as well is that the kind of people in the middle, what we call here the squeezed middle. So they're the people who are working really hard, but they have some money to go on holidays, but things are tough. And, if they get a medical bill, worrying about that, or where do you get the money to go to college? So what's really interesting is that those people are pitched against the poor people. And what you have is two groups of people who are struggling, and the people who are not struggling, who hoard a huge amount of wealth, are happy to sit back and watch two groups of people who struggle go against each other, because it takes attention away from who's hoarding the wealth and what policies are keeping people in poverty.